Hi folks, and welcome back to part 4 of our webinar series on the online audience engagement journey. In this part we're going to start looking at the credibility stage, so this is the third stage in this journey, and I actually think this is probably one of the most critical stages for social and digital media. This, in my mind, is where social media really starts to come into its own, and also where we possibly have the greatest dangers from online media as well, in terms of how people perceive our reputation and the kind of other things that people are saying about you online. So let's dive in and we'll start having a look at what goes on during the credibility stage. So we know at this stage they know something about you, they know who you are, they know perhaps what you have to offer them, but they don't really know much about your reputation. So this is the stage at which really they feel they need to build up trust in your organisation in order to become part of that and to start engaging with your community. So what are they not doing? Well, at this stage, they're still not talking exclusively to you. They're still looking at your competitors, and they're still, of course, spending an awful lot of time looking at other organisations, doing other activities that are completely unrelated to education. So other things that are detracting their time and attention away from you and your competitors. So again, that all needs to be borne in mind. They're certainly at this stage not believing everything that the marketing person says. Often when you talk to prospective students, for example, you find that they are very aware of marketing tactics and often quite suspicious of them as well. So they will be quite cautious at this stage of marketing speak and marketing material. And this is the stage where they really want to get to the truth. They want to be able to trust you, and they need authenticity in order to do that. They're still not making decisions by themselves at this stage. They're still very influenced by other people, friends, family, parents, teachers, whoever that might be. And they won't necessarily, because they still haven't made that commitment to become part of your community, they won't necessarily like your Facebook page. Although at this stage we might see some of them beginning to do that, beginning to connect with us more through social media sites where they have to do something, to join in some way, to like your page, to follow you on Twitter. They might do that in order to ask some questions, although typically, and we'll look at this later, I think people tend to do that more at the desire stage than at the credibility stage. So moving on to think about what they might be doing, well, they might be engaging with you and your colleagues online in some way. So they might be open, for example, to engaging with you via some kind of instant messaging system or via a Skype chat, via email, whatever it might be. They may well be open to having a dialogue with you at this stage. They almost certainly would be wanting to speak to other people within your community. Prospective students of a university, for example, often say that they want to speak to current students. Likewise, parents who are thinking of sending their child to a particular school will probably want to talk to parents who already send their child to that school to get a real insight, an authentic insight, again, into what life within that organisation is actually like. So let's have an example of this going on. We've already looked at this in the previous webinar. This is Jodie Peepshow, great username there, asking what's the best Scottish university to go to. And here we now see Poppy, with far too many P's, coming back and responding to that. Now, Poppy is very clearly someone that studied at Strathclyde University, so she's come back here with a really positive response about going to Strathclyde. Now, likewise, she could have come back with a very negative response. And this is why it's really important, more important than ever before, that we pay a lot of attention to the way in which we communicate with our current students. And in my opinion, this is a bit of a gap that we currently have, particularly in the UK higher education sector, and some other countries, but we see this particularly in the UK, that we focus a lot of efforts on student recruitment, student marketing, getting them in the door. And then we focus a lot of efforts at the other end on alumni relations, but we don't tend to manage very well that piece in between, that period of time while they're actually a student within our university. The communications office, the marketing office don't necessarily have a great hold over that period of time. Typically, communications are managed by departments, by individual academics, by perhaps the student union, maybe some kind of student welfare service might play a role here, but generally central communications and marketing teams don't tend to have a big role in maintaining that communication, and yet now it's absolutely critical that our current students feel really positive about us, because they will be doing just what Poppy's done here. They will respond to other students online and give them a real and authentic view of what they think it's like as being part of that organisation. The other group of people that they might want to start knowing about, perhaps even connecting to, are your academic staff or your lecturers if you're in a college, or your teachers if it's a parent looking at what school to send their child to, for example. And this is where you get sites like ratemyprofessor.com will really kind of come into their own here. So on here again, it's really your current students that you want to be making sure you're looking after here, because you want your current students to say good things about your academics on ratemyprofessors.com. So there's no space anymore for bad professors. If they're not delivering a good service, if you'll excuse the word, to your students, then the students will come and say so, and that's visible, and people will look at this and will see that, and that just doesn't reflect very well on your organisation, particularly when people are in a space where they want to trust you, they want to feel that you're a credible organisation for them to become part of. So what else will they do? Well, they'll carry on searching. They'll keep using Google throughout this phase, or whatever other search engine they'll use. They will continue to keep chatting to their peers and to other influencers. They might have a careers guidance person within their school or their college that may be helping them through this process. Their teachers, their parents, their friends, all of these people will still continue to influence them as they make decisions at this stage. They certainly at this stage need some kind of reassurance. That's almost what they're looking for in the credibility stage. They want to know that you're a great organisation. And the other thing they might be doing, they might be engaging with some of your offline activities at this stage. So they probably by now do have a prospectus, for example, some kind of print publication that they might have requested. They've probably been through your website, but they might also be looking to come to an open day, for example. So now we need to be really, really thinking long and hard, in addition to the way in which we looked previously at publications and the augmented reality example that we looked at. We need to be thinking long and hard at how we might integrate social and digital media to enhance an offline experience that somebody has with your organisation. In this case, let's think about things like open days or campus visits. So here you can see the Western Kentucky University are using Foursquare. I quite like this one. I like the way they use Foursquare, the lists on Foursquare, and it's not just here's restaurants on our campus, or here's our academic buildings, or here's our sports venues. They just put a little bit more personality to it, and I love this romantic spots list on here where you can go and visit the most romantic parts of campus. And there are a lot of universities now beginning to use Foursquare as a way of having a kind of a slightly different, slightly more interactive campus tour experience. Harvard University is another one that's got really, really good Foursquare presence, and particularly their use of tips, where they will leave tips to provide kind of historical data about their campus as people walk around, and all kinds of little snippets of interesting bits and bobs that you can find out about their campus as you explore the place that you're in. Scavenger, of course, another location-based application, a bit like Foursquare, a little bit more of a gaming element to it, and perhaps I think a little bit more social than Foursquare is as well. So Bryant University here, where people can go and they can use Scavenger on their mobiles around the campus, and they can join in with the game. They can do challenges around the campus as they're doing it. They can be checking in with other people. They can be sharing it with their other social networks. So really just kind of, again, bringing that sort of element of interactivity into what otherwise is just an offline experience, but bringing that online and potentially getting them sharing that experience with other people as well. Even things as simple as QR codes around your campus, or augmented reality tours around your campus, so that as people are exploring your campus, they can take a picture of this QR code and potentially get some additional information about a particular building or a particular site or something that might be happening on the campus, or holding up their mobile phone to a building in front of them on campus, and instead of just seeing a picture of that building, a student might pop up on their screen and start telling them about what goes on in that building, or showing some of their work, or something like that, something that just introduces that little bit more information and insight into the student life within that place, that venue. And again, really, really simple things. Hashtags for Twitter, for if you've got an open day, make sure there's a hashtag for it so that different students can connect with each other who are in that open day, and you can also monitor people talking about your open day on Twitter as well, and create some kind of engagement with them, have conversations with them, answer their questions, whatever it might be. All these kind of things we need to bear in mind when we're organising events. But back to that absolutely critical point again, sorry to be a broken record here, but same point at every single stage. What do you want them to think, feel and do at this stage? Now this is all about credibility. So this is really, what do we want them to think and feel? Well, we want them to trust you. We want them to feel that you're a great organisation. And as a consequence of that, we want them to then desire becoming part of your organisation. So at this stage, we're now starting to think about them actually beginning to make applications to become part of your organisation, I guess. And I'm just closing here with an example that I absolutely love this example, and I use this example all the time in my workshops that I run. Hartwick College in upstate New York, they have it's a microsite, it's called Hartwick Experience. And on here, their current students can upload examples of things that they've got up to within that college. It can be anything. It can be sports activities. It can be silly little things that they've done. It can be social activities. Anything that just gives a little flavour of what it's like, what life is like to be a student at that college. But the reason I love this so much is because I think this strapline here between show and tell, we prefer show, really, really gets to the heart of what social and digital media can do for us. We're no longer in a world in which telling people is enough. We need to show them what we're good at as well. We need to show them, give them a sense of what life is like, or what the quality of education is going to be like within that environment. This is an example of an organisation that does this well. The other examples that you might want to think about as well are things like iTunes U or YouTube Edu, or any kind of space where you might be putting your academic content online as well. Because at this point, your teaching and learning materials also become very, very essential. People want to know that they're going to have a good teaching experience at your university, your college or your school. So if you have great teaching and learning materials, putting them online in a space like YouTube or iTunes is a really positive thing to do, because again, it shows people that they're going to have a great learning experience within your organisation. It isn't you just telling them that you're one of the top rated schools in a particular subject area. So that's our brief insight into the credibility stage. The next stage that we're going to move on to is desire. We'll cover this one again in a fair bit of detail. And this is the stage at which people will hopefully then start thinking, I really want to go there. I really want to be part of that organisation. So come back and we'll cover that one in the next session. Thank you. Bye.